Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Everybody who watches his show on a regular basis knows my love of the stretch four.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to
It's
Tallahassee.
mercy if y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This Shelly, you, hoodie girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Peep the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets out the buckets, baby. You're out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie, it's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby, buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Buckets. I'm Matt. He's Vish. She's Melissa. We all got jerseys on. Should we go around and show off the jerseys? Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, Melissa's got the Black History Month one
With an Adidas hoodie underneath it that
that you can
see.
see through.
I really got to invest in a white hoodie.
And I am rocking the legendary Charlie yellow jersey, recently purchased.
and all of its Culito-ness.
Culito-ness is I'm not buying that's wrong on several levels. First of all, this jersey is awesome. Second, Culito-ness, we can't do that.
It was on sale, right? Wasn't it like 90% off?
That's the only reason why he bought it. I heard him
not
say that.
90% off. That's not the only reason I bought it. That was the reason I
You
bought it at
literally
that
said,
time.
"Oh, I want to get it, but I'll buy it if it's on sale."
I said I will buy it when it goes on sale, not because
Exactly.
that was the only reason I bought it. That was the reason I brought it at that time. This purchase is happening, but the season's over, so now it'd be stupid to buy a jersey from the season. Let them.
You want to
discount
talk
it.
about a better jersey that I didn't necessarily purchase, but ended up getting because the one that I purchased.
Can Matt talk about his jersey first?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I was trying to overshadow your jersey.
I got my Miami. Here we go. Retro look.
Number 11
for Jordan Miller.
Let's
He actually
go.
signed the back. I'm not going to try to show that off after the Lafayette game. Shout out my guy Jordan Miller.
You need a jersey cam.
A jersey cam. No, I already upgraded for the webcam. I don't think I need another video camera.
But as I was gonna say, so I bought this blank white jersey a couple of months ago, and I got numbers to put on it from the team store across the street from campus. And then I procrastinated a bunch to get the numbers ironed on, and then they were nice enough to let me know that they had a heat press, so I took it back yesterday so them they could put the numbers on it. And Harry, the owner, who's awesome, accidentally put the heat press too high and messed up the jersey. So instead of the white jersey, I have this really awesome, which I actually like better. So I'm grateful for the mess up orange jersey with the number 35 on it, because how awesome is that? And for those of you who have been watching Buckets long enough, you know why I got number 35. But like, this is a
Wait,
fire.
why did you get 35 again?
Especially after Tasha left, I think it's pretty messed up.
So I will. This jersey will get worn on this pod when my favorite player comes on the show. Hopefully that happens because Matt got that in the works. So I'm really excited. So hopefully that actually happens. So
I would say past tense had that in the works at this point.
He's still in playoffs. So we'll see. You know, regardless of what happens, A for effort, and I appreciate the even trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
But
gotta make it happen.
I mean, this is a really sick jersey.
Job not finished.
Right?
Terrence in the
Speaking
chat.
of job not finished.
It's got some hoops questions. We're definitely gonna get through a lot of this as the show goes on. But yes, especially the Charlie jersey, as we all know. So and the shorts Coach Meyer gave us.
Dave, It happened, guys. I know you all were rooting for me to get the practice shorts. It finally happened. Coach Meyer not only hooked me up, but brought Vish a pair too. Hopefully, Coach Cullup can hook Matt up.
Oh, she already is sending a care package. I talked to her the other day.
All Canes
Yeah,
did hook
we
us up
talked-
with Final Four hats last night, so we got to
Yes.
get Matt's out to him.
I've got a hat and a shirt for Matt actually. So.
I
can get it the
actually-
next when I'm there or something. That's
I'll
that's
just send it
easier.
out. It's fine.
It's,
I meant
no,
to
don't worry about
get
it.
that, but it's in the other room. I was gonna show it off.
The hat might not even fit my fat head. So
It's
It's adjustable.
oh, it is okay. Good.
Yes.
It's not one of the one size fit all type things.
Shout out to Al Canes for letting us go live from there last night, and then for some merch. Well, and also letting us shop after hours. Me and Vish got some cool stuff.
I'm actually wearing a hat that I purchased there.
There you go.
I mean, come on. I actually showed this off on our Mount Rushmore stuff. I actually did purchase it. All Canes is good about having extra smalls lately. There was a pair of shorts that I wanted to get, but they're a little expensive. So if hoping like when I get paid, I'm gonna go back and buy them.
Which ones were they?
The ones that Vish showed off, the fourth of his things on the Mount Rushmore. The throwback shorts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. That's
Those
cool.
are cool.
Those were actually the ones I randomly showed off were extra small. So
And they have pockets, which I mean, basketball shorts with pockets, that's clutch.
Yeah. A lot of the
And then the
women's
shorts-
shorts do not have pockets.
The shorts you got me have a back pocket too. I mean,
Those are legit. Like those are
they're so comfortable too because I was running around for like half the night last night. So
yeah.
I mean, that was a fire fit. Those shorts and my Larinaga Meyer hoodie. Whew. Not to like toot my own horn, but you know, it's a good fit.
Yeah, there you go. 10.98 out of 10.
There you go. Good.
such a
stuff.
violation
point.
of Buckets rules. You should both be suspended.
I
for the next game
invented
for
the
that.
rules. What are you talking about?
Matt's the one that does the ratings. He's allowed to
Yeah.
say he's allowed
I
to do
invented the
whatever he
rating
wants.
scale. How are you going to tell me my rating scale is incorrect when I invented it?
That's why I
Because
texted
I run
him.
the show. I can do whatever I want. That's why.
No, you
Me
can,
and
Melissa,
Matt-
tell
me
him
and
he
Matt
I
can't
would
do
control
it.
the means of
Melissa,
production.
tell him that he can't do whatever he wants.
Well, no, you can't do whatever you want. I mean, he has he
no
can
one,
kick
no
us-
one studied the Communist Manifesto in college
He-
because that was a
he-
hilarious.
I
joke
mean,
they
he can
just
kick
made
us out of
that
the
went way
stream
over your heads.
again. He's already kicked you out once.
I know.
So rude.
I've
He
never
actually
kicked
kicked me
Matt
out of the
a
All
stream.
Canes one too.
I've never kicked Matt out of a stream.
Fake news. What a surprise.
TFTI.
But
How did you guys not know what TFTI? Like that's
hell,
not
man, we speak
oh,
English
it's not
in
a young
Miami.
person thing. That's like what?
I was not in my usual Buckets environment. So like it was like I
Everything's
called
Excuse
Miami.
making. Good God.
I called Flo Max. Like it was just it was like and it
I
was-
feel like
This
I feel
was
like
to my
she's a coach
side.
who just like got upset is making
She got
excuses.
rattled. It was an away
It's
game
like
and she
the
got
post-game
rattled.
press conference just making excuses that don't hold up at all.
you know.
I was not binaural, but I was rattled. No, it's not
But
a Miami accent.
I'm just gonna point out again how awesome mine and Matt's jerseys are.
You can keep shitting on the Charlie jersey. It is amazing.
The design is great. The yellow, honestly, with your lighting, you can't tell how yellow it is.
It's normal lighting. It does look almost the same shade as yours.
Yeah, the lighting's different. Also, I went back and watched the show from All Canes last night, and the lighting made me look so white that
I mean,
like
we turned the lighting off. I
it
know.
looked but like because they had fluorescent light, it looked like I had a bald spot going across the top of my head with the lighting. It made my part look like this wide. This is like okay.
You should have put on a nice hat like I did. You wouldn't have an issue.
Next time we go live from somewhere that has fluorescent lighting, I'm wearing a hat or putting my hood up.
I even tried to use this because we had the spotlight. We ended up not using it because it was so bright in there. But I tried to even turn the yellow spotlight on that some more color. Nothing could depale Melissa, so we just went with
Well,
it.
not only that, but the ring light was right where the camera was, and so if you looked into the camera, the ring light was around it. So then you were just like having like if you look into a light for a long time, you have like the remnants, you know. So I was like, we don't need that. There's enough lighting. The behind the scenes of the bucket setup at All Canes.
I mean, Matt and I had the camera on the ring light in my apartment when we did that. It was fine. Other than
You
we
were
started
able to
watching the
adjust the
Montana
lighting
game.
different though, but like it
No, I
washed.
know. No, but what I'm saying is you don't actually stare at it. It's just there. Like I have a ring light in my face right now.
Oh, it's all right. I
Doesn't
have a
matter.
yellow light next to me. It works.
Does not matter.
What are we talking about first, men's or women's?
Well, we got to talk about men's. It's huge news.
The women's is huge news too.
No, that's the biggest. No, the men's. Are you
The
serious?
biggest news
you
is that
kidding me
Melissa
right
still cannot pick up on Matt's sarcasm. We're almost at our 1 year
This
show
is ginormous.
anniversary.
This is
and
the
it's still
biggest
right
news in the
over here.
history of
Yeah,
news.
Not in the group text today. We're gonna overreact to this, right?
Okay, well now you can't just say it on here. Like,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
can.
way to go.
I'm
Way
good.
to
I'm
ruin-
good about revealing contents of our group text.
I
Yeah,
know.
but you kind of ruined the bit he was doing.
I know you ruined the bit.
All right, let's talk about number 0 himself. Has the same first name as our amazing host Matthew Cleveland. He has returned to the Miami Hurricanes. And despite the sarcasm and shenanigans, all three of us are actually happy that he's returning. Thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, I mean he's a great player. We've talked about this numerous times on the show. He was asked to play a position that didn't really suit his talents and whatnot. And I think also too, I think you saw a lot of flashes of, I've seen people say that he was lazy for parts of the year or whatever. I don't know. I disagree with that. I think that he had moments and flashes where he wasn't aggressive enough and he was trying to be a good teammate. He was definitely one of the best slashers on the team, if not the best slasher. And we definitely could have used that ability more in a lot of games where we were struggling offensively. I don't think it really would have helped a lot more because, I think that there was a lot of problems with injuries, obviously, and, the way the team was constructed and just the overall team chemistry. But, it's something that I hope that we see this year. And I think he's going to have a successful year next year.
Vish?
Yeah, I mean, nothing would have helped last year. We weren't even competitive by the end of the season. Those were all blowouts. But, yeah, no, I mean, it was expected. So, I mean, if he announced for whatever reason he was leaving, it would have been pretty shocking. But it's still a necessary step in terms of building the roster. He's going to start at small forward. Without him, we basically don't have a starting small forward. So, it's a big,
Any of
it's a
you
big
have
get there.
any speculation on why it took him a bit to announce? Like Nigel announced pretty quickly he was coming back.
I don't even think it was on his mind. I think he was always coming back. It's just he was like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't see it as like, oh, I have to say this until maybe
we had all
Because there
these
wasn't even
yesterday.
his announcement was just the Michael Jordan I'm back. There was no like
yeah.
he was probably getting people.
It was kind of like, well, what do you think I was gonna do? Like
yeah.
And we actually talked about this, like not all 12 players on a roster or whatever are gonna say I'm coming back next year at the end of the season. The assumption
Wait
is
for the Paul Jobé announcement.
Well, I mean, that one would be surprising if he left, and also one that I would not care about. I don't know why we expect every single player on the roster to announce they're coming back when they're like an underclassman that's obviously coming back. But I guess maybe some people were speculating. I don't know. We all assumed he was back, but he literally
we kind of talk that way. Sucks. He can be nasty in the mid-range, but he would drive into the paint to take a shot contested by 3 people. A few people on our team did that last season.
Yeah.
Let's just say last season was a disaster. I tweeted out my 5 things about why I was happy he was coming back. What I wanted him to work on as for next season. First of all, moving him back to the 3 to the small forward. Developing more confidence. Matt said it a billion times that it seemed like he deferred a lot and didn't try to create his own shot. Ups his mid-range game because I said it towards the beginning of the season last year that I thought his mid-range game was absolute fire. Ups his defense even more and then silences his haters.
Silences his haters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that his haters are, as much basketball related or as much as season went in the shitter. Let's blame the guy that came from FSU.
You're not going to get his type of talent from the portal.
Well, not right now. No.
Not right now.
not with what's available at this point. Not that position, at least. The other thing is just, again, I don't even know that it's fair to say he took too many contested shots. His game needs to be in the paint, and you're not just going to be wide open there.
Mhm.
I would say his worst moment was the back-to-back air balls against Boston College. When
Oh,
he was about 5 feet away with the game on the line there.
Also, just
But-
some space awareness. There was quite a few games where he stepped on the end line, like in the corner, and I was like, but it happens.
So the other thing, though, I'd say he's probably one of the few players, and probably to a fault, that did not come into this year thinking about how am I going to improve my personal draft stock and focus on that versus being a good team player, because we had a lot of selfish, I'm going to run offensive numbers players on this team, and he wasn't one of those. He and Nigel kind of still tried to play within the scale of the offense. I feel like everyone else, and some of them did successfully run numbers, were more focused on making sure they stuffed the stat line and got their shots up, not really play any defense. And I don't think he was guilty of that at all. So
Sox
Yeah,
coverage, it wasn't every game. It happened a few times, and yes, it's frustrating, but he wasn't the only one with bad turnovers.
Nigel Pack did that all the time too last season.
Yeah. And we talked about this on Twitter. Him and Wooga averaged the exact same amount of turnovers per game. So
Muga had a higher turnover rate too.
and Cleveland shot better from the field.
yeah, but I mean, at least I personally didn't really want Wugga back. I mean, we actually did this because this took so long for these dominoes to fall, even though they fell exactly how we all kind of knew they were going to fall for the last month. But, we did rank our kind of, because there was 3 options, right, to play small forward. It was Matthew, who we expected back, Wugga, who we expected gone, and Keyshawn, who expected to go to the draft. All 3 of those things happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any one of us said out of the 3, if we could pick one, it would be Wugga.
We wanted Keyshawn for the potential, but
I'm pretty sure I said Cleveland,
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
because I think Keyshawn's a dumbass on the court
Keyshawn
too
for the
much, and it's
potential,
just
but as far as consistency or just experience, we said Cleveland. I think the 3 of us all kind of were like, nah, Wooga's last. And it's not to put down Wooga. I hope he finds a home somewhere where he's happy, because to me it just didn't seem like he wanted to be here. Appreciative.
I don't actually blame him, and obviously we talked about Keyshawn would be an idiot to not go pro given his, given the weakness of this draft, and his he's much more likely to be drafted lower in next
Keyshawn's
year.
measurables. It's the potential in Keyshawn.
Yeah, but even if he has a really good year here, he's still, just because the draft will be so much stronger.
Mhm.
He'll be, he's just much more likely to get drafted higher this year. Clearly, I mean, we don't have any inside information, but clearly something
happened.
There was friction between Wugga and Coach O for sure. I mean, that some of the substitution patterns were pretty outlandish, and that doesn't happen out of nowhere. So I think there was probably a little bit of friction there. I do know there was some frustration, around the injuries, up probably on both parts.
There was an interview with Coach L that mentioned he was discussing Wooga's injury a little bit, and it seemed like a very uncomfortable conversation. There was more to the story.
Well, I mean, I think it's multi-dimensional, because people are complicated, right? And on the one hand, you want to say, if you can get on the court, go out there and play. Is that in the best interest of the player, or is that in the best interest of the program as well? Would it be better for them to sit out, and the coach is always gonna, want the kid to play if they're medically cleared? The player might have a different opinion, worrying about re-injuring it, and also, you take a few games off and get healthier. Maybe that helps. But we certainly didn't need to shove him back in the Stonehill game, which is when he got injured worse and never kind of came back from that. So there's a lot that kind of went wrong, and I think that drove a lot of our thinking that there was no way he was coming back, and this week just confirmed it.
I'll just say this: any
Shout out to
player,
Canes Cats Heat.
any player that wants to be here and Coach All wants them here, I'm a fan. Everyone who's been through the program and has left, I wish you well. But if we run into you guys at some point, I'm gonna be rooting against you.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't. All right, I know this isn't the right thing to say or whatever. I honestly don't care if they do well. I don't want them to get injured or anything horrific to happen to them. Like, I'm not inhuman, but do I care if Nwoko plays well at Mississippi State or not? No.
Well, I mean, there's levels of my caring.
I mean, I'm
We'll
always
see.
like, good luck, wish you the best. I'm like, I don't actually care anymore.
We'll
Like,
see where everybody ends up. But if Norchad ends up in an ACC school, my heart will be broken. I'm just gonna say. I mean, I've heard the rumors of where he might go, and it's not an ACC school. But there was that
Matt-
UNC rumor.
Can I just say, Matt Cross is not coming back here. There's no way in fucking
think
hell
this is
that's
just-
happening.
I'm assuming this was sarcastic.
Yeah.
Okay. I just read that really
When-
quick and I was like, there's no freaking way that's happening.
When someone's searching for their fourth school, I believe, and they got thrown off the original school mid-season, they're not coming back.
He visited, I think it was Wisconsin. He visited Wisconsin and they didn't even offer him. Like, and he just left the visit. Like, I think that was the school. It was either Wisconsin or Ohio State. I can't remember. But yeah, no, that's not happening.
Canes Cats Heat. That's what I heard. Yeah.
And
Who?
you know what? Like I said, I'm not going to sit there and follow him. I honestly don't care
Yeah.
if he plays well or not. Like I said, I don't want him to get, I don't want him to get injured or anything. I don't want anyone to get
Yeah.
injured. But like, do I give a crap if Norchad averages a double in the Big East next year? No. Why would I care?
Yeah.
I feel you. I'm trying to be politically correct.
I'm not. It's
Well,
Midnight
if anything,
Buckets.
too, like we've talked about, like props to Nigel for staying here too, like through this all. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say. Like,
I mean,
they got a lot of shit this season too.
Why do we have to lowball anybody?
Well, this is the thing, right? So low ball is relative, right? So it's a free market. So if someone else is going to pay him more, you technically lowballed him, I guess, because someone else paid him more. But you don't have to meet that. We already have a starting power forward and a starting center.
Yeah, we
How much
kind
you
of
gonna
have
pay for
already
now?
replaced him.
Yeah, because he wouldn't commit. So
Yeah. The writing was on
I
the
don't
wall.
know, and it doesn't matter. Like he was going to be. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Gio. Well,
I heard
there.
rumors. This is all we talk about speculation, right?
It's
Yeah.
the
I had
internet. We don't
rumors.
know. I mean,
It was like over, or no, it was around 1.5 mil. So
I
don't know
heard
if that's
six.
true.
I heard six figures, but I mean, yours is higher.
yeah. So
I
I,
mean,
don't know. if
6
that's- maybe
figures is a
Gio knows
pretty large
something. I don't
range,
know.
though.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, no, shout out to Gio. I mean, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We had replaced him. Likely, again, I think lessons learned from last year. We're not waiting around for this crap. And so we had replaced him. And, if he wanted to come back, there was probably a lower value we're looking at in order to bring him back at that point because we have a starting center and we have a starting power forward. So we'd essentially be moving someone to the bench to bring him back, which is fine. But at that point, it's like the third or fourth time the Cowboys drafted an offensive lineman. It's like, I get it was a need, but this guy's getting cut now.
I'm just gonna say it.
You're not going to put 15 linemen on the team.
Yeah, it's kind of what everyone's kind of been whispering under their breath, and we've talked about it before. Norchad is a 6'6", 6'5" center if you measure him without his shoes on. He's was really good for us at the 5, but he's undersized for the NBA. Is he a likely NBA prospect? Unless his outside shooting game gets a lot better, probably not.
And his
So
perimeter defense too.
yeah. So if he's getting offered money to go play at another school, good for him, man. He's got the opportunity to make good money in college. So I don't blame him as a fan. It makes me sad, obviously, because I'm a huge fan of his. But listen, college basketball with NIL is free agency now. So if he's getting that opportunity to make that kind of money, I mean, you can't say no. That's a big deal, especially if it's the number Matt said.
Yeah, but if we're
Is
gonna
what it
treat
is.
it, if we're gonna treat it as free agency, then we do need to look a little bit deeper there and ask the question. Okay, so when we're now managing a budget, right? It's not a salary cap, it is a budget. And would you trade the 2 guys we brought in for Norchad? Straight up, the answer is no.
Well, it might even be more too.
Right, it might be more, but just again, we're all dealing with like this is rumor and all that in terms of the actual dollar values. But we know, Lynn Kidd came in for significantly less than the rumor we've heard about Norchad. Like, would you trade Brandon Johnson and Lynn Kidd for Norchad? The answer is absolutely not. So I think, again, as Canes Cats Heat, and again, these numbers are always speculative. But these numbers are always speculative.
Yeah.
But we spent a lot of money to bring back a crappier version of the Final Four team last year, and we overpaid to keep our own guys. And I think we, as Gio said, it was kind of I think it was a reckoning. Again, one thing great about Coach L in this program is they learn from their mistakes, and that was a huge mistake.
And it was very obvious. It was very obvious he learned because look how aggressive he was in the portal right from the start.
Right, and not only that though, I think it did affect the attitude of the players on the team as well. Again, we talked about this earlier, but the unwillingness to play defense, a lot of more forcing of shots, making sure they got their numbers from Norchad as well. I mean, Matt, I saw this in person, like
the BC game.
Yeah, I mean, Quentin Post was roasting him, and then I know earlier, Matthew Cleveland's defense was criticized. We actually put him on Quentin Post, and he defended him a lot better because he was trying. So, and Norchad got his double and ran his numbers up there, and all of that, and there was a lot of that. Not just I'm not talking about him because he's the last one to leave, kind of, but there was a lot of that across the board. We were making fun of it at the beginning of the year when Keyshawn would shoot every time he touched the ball, right? But that's not good for like he's a freshman, he'll learn. But the whole team kind of played that way. It wasn't just Keyshawn. I was just like, I'm gonna get mine up, and part of that is the.
Can we put up Canes Cats Heat's last comment?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the difference in the player. Nigel, who was actually hurt practicing and still here. Wilga was in pajamas and quit.
So here's what I'll say though. Obviously, like I think I was the biggest fan of Nigel even before he's the only one that was remaining here, even going into last year. But Wilga definitely was injured.
No, he was.
I mean, so this whole was actually hurt. Again, we already talked about this a little bit, but the idea when you're hurt and you're playing, that's not an easy answer. The answer is not always to go out there and play. And so whether or not Wilga could have played in some of these games, he was injured the previous game though. He got hurt during the game. So the idea that he was healthy a few days later for sure. I'm sorry.
I think honestly, the difference is, and you can't blame a player for not playing if they're injured because it is their future. I think the comparison there is that Nigel kept trying to play even though he was injured, and so it makes Wilga's situation look worse because Nigel was trying, and then it makes it seem like Wilga wasn't trying. There's a lot more to that story, I think, than what we know, but I plan on buying a Nigel Pack jersey. So,
yeah, I don't. When we see people get injured in games and then say, "Why aren't they playing the next game? They're not really hurt." I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Although Matthew Cleveland's injury, I'll never actually. They said it was a hip, but the massage got still till this day, I still don't know what that was.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure they treated that correct. I'll defer to your medical expertise, Melissa, but I feel like they should not have had a massage gun out.
I don't. Yeah. And Vish is actually, and I think you said this even before Nigel announced he was coming back. You said this a few times that if Nigel were to come back, that third year is kind of going to leave his legacy by being here for that third year. because we had discussed about how Wong should have his jersey retired, and other people had mentioned Jordan Miller, and whereas Jordan Miller was an amazing player for us for 2 years, that third year, he has a chance to leave his mark on the program.
Yeah, and actually thought the opposite. The way he kept trying to come back, because to me, if he didn't want to come back, again, he's similar to Norchad, and that he's really not. He's not great NBA prospects because of his size. He's obviously an elite shooter, but everyone in the NBA can shoot nowadays. It's not like that's not a 10, 15 years ago that'd be a huge differentiator, right? But not as much anymore. So the fact that he was trying, because if he was trying to transfer, he would have shut it down and been like, I'm not going out there on one leg. And he was never healthy, Nigel, after that North Carolina game. He was
to Sock's coverage point about Cleveland missing 2 games for food poisoning. I don't know how close together those 2 games were, but I've had food poisoning that's knocked me on my ass for like 3 or 4 days. It's not just
Cracker Barrel knocked me out for 5 days.
Yeah,
that was awful.
So
I still produced the show.
It's not like, oh, I've stopped vomiting, I feel better. You're massively dehydrated. You got to get your system back to like eating regularly again. That shit can knock you out for a few days. And if you're thinking about these athletes who are playing D1 basketball and expending all that energy, it's not just like, okay, I'm done vomiting, I'm good, let me go play a 40-minute basketball game. It does take time. Obviously, we don't know the whole story. Again, we're speculating, but I'm just saying to that point.
Right, and again, and Gio, we touched on this earlier, is absolutely right. He's playing out of position to begin with, but once you start, you miss time. It's hard to get back if you're not feeling 100%. It's not that we always want to say suck it up and play. That's not always the right decision. And again, we're not going to really comment on rumors.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, that's not always the answer. We saw which was the North Carolina game where Keyshawn fully warmed up and then didn't play.
Yeah. Well, also the game that Cleveland hurt his hip. I don't know what the actual injury was. He tried to come back in the game. If you remember correctly. He tried to come back into the game and then within 45 seconds had to limp off again. So the effort was there. Gio's right. It was unfair to expect Cleveland to be Jordan Miller, and I think a lot of people had those expectations. And
didn't the hip thing happen like around the food poisoning thing too?
I think it was before.
So
wasn't it? I think it was before.
Yeah.
I don't know. He played 40 minutes against Syracuse because Norchad was injured and people got in foul trouble. I never had an issue with Matthew Cleveland's effort last year.
Yeah.
I forget what was it, Flo's show that we went on. I don't even remember what show it was. Someone asked about if we had any disappointments for the season, and I said I was disappointed with Matthew Cleveland's season. Obviously I had expectations, but it wasn't to put him down. It's just the whole season was a disaster. So it's just like I didn't even know what to say. But I'm happy he's back, and I think with him playing the small forward, I think we're going to see a way better player.
Well, let's be real. We lied to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We spent the whole offseason lying to ourselves, and we're not going to make that mistake again. But
Fish was like, "Oh, we're the best team in the ACC."
I'm going to keep going back to this. I'm not the one who voted us second in the preseason poll. The ACC was Duke 1, Miami 2nd, then a big drop off. I think North Carolina was 3rd. That was not me doing that.
With the land of NIL and the portal, you can't base anything off the season before anymore. It's impossible.
But I don't think people were doing that. I think on paper, if you look at, Matthew Cleveland for FSU 2 years ago was one of the better players in the ACC. You've added him. You've got the rest of the starting. You obviously lost Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong, but all things considered, with the amount of turnover on rosters, we lost less than UConn did off of their championship team, and they reloaded and won the championship again, and we collapsed, right? So I don't think it was just based off of the last season. It was looking at the roster coming back and expecting improvement from some of the guys that had played a little bit the year before, and it just wasn't there. And then the injuries happened, so those guys were playing anyway, and that's why it kind of fell apart there. But no, I think it was mostly based on what we brought back, because we were actually, again, 2020 hindsight's easy to look back and say, man, we lost Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller. Why did we ever think the team was going to be good?
We returned 3 starters, got a starter who was the best player on their team, and our 6th man. Like it, and you know, at that time, it seemed like, okay, yeah, we're returning all these players, good stuff, but
right. But again, we losing like the 6th man off the team or whatever. Well, I guess that was technically Bensley, but you know, we lost we lost Anthony Walker. You would expect AJ Casey to be able to like expand that role. He was way worse, right? And so you know, those are the miscalculations we made that became exacerbated when everyone started getting injured. And it wasn't just, can he take like the 8 minutes, 10 minutes Anthony Walker was doing and do better in those minutes? It was like, nope, can we play 25? And it's just, and it kind of went off the rails pretty quickly, right? But we certainly did lie to ourselves a little bit. When we kind of looked at the roster, you know, we expected Chris Watson to take a pretty big step forward. That didn't happen. So we miscalculated, just to be blunt about it, right? We had some guys that we expected to be better than they were. And then with the injuries, it got even worse.
yeah.
But
But
I mean, I know injuries were a thing, but I mean, Wooga too. I mean, I saw it in the comments. It was disappointing as well. I thought we were going to see more of a diverse, you know, offensive game. I think some of that was, you know, injury contributed to that. But, you know, when your coach makes comparisons to one of the greatest players that played here, and, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was skeptical
kind of
of that. I was
disappointing
like, that's a lot of pressure. But I still think Wooga has a really high ceiling.
I think I think he can be an elite shooter. If you try to do what we did, which is run offense through him, it's not going to work out well for you.
Yeah. Well, we're reloading for next year, so
there's still hopefully some things we need to reload. But yeah, no, this is
there's still some pieces missing, but you're starting to see it come together a little bit. Coaches,
and again, and I think, you know, we talk about Coach O learning from mistakes. He obviously changed the approach completely this offseason. And then I also think he had a plan here. I need a center. I need a power forward so that Matthew Cleveland can play small forward. And he went and got those. And that allows Matt, if he goes to Matthew Cleveland and tells him, hey, we're going to put you a power forward again, I think he's probably in the portal.
Yep.
So I think, you know, he executed a plan probably on the likelihood of guys coming back.
I think,
and we actually talked about this because obviously it's been a while now since Nigel said he was coming back, but you know, we were talking about this before that.
Yeah.
Kind of knew he was coming back because they weren't targeting a replacement for him.
Yeah. Also, I think there may be very small parts of the game where you may see Cleveland at the 4. It depends on what other depth pieces we get. But like obviously Kidd and Johnson aren't going to be in the game the entire time. So there might be a few minutes here and there where you see him at the 4, but for the most part, unless we get more pieces, obviously I don't know what happened, but like with what we have right now, I could see Cleveland being at the 4 for small portions of the game if we go to a smaller lineup.
Well, I do expect us to get another big for depth.
I'm hoping, yeah, that's the hope. But I'm just like, as of right now, it might if he decides, because there was one point last season where we played all guards, and Cleveland was the 5. So I mean that was kind of out of necessity because we had nobody. But I think Coach wanted to do right by Cleveland to keep him here. So
yeah, well, and I think the good thing too that the staff has done is they found guys that fit around the guys that we have already on roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys that will know their role, you know, more mature guys that have played basketball for 4 or 5 years. Because I think Brandon Johnson played 1 or 2 years of community college basketball too.
Well,
than his years
Johnson
at
and Kidd
HU.
are in their final year of eligibility, so
Yeah, I know. So
yeah.
they kind of know we know what kind of player they are, and they know obviously what role they're fitting in when they come here. So, and I think that's gonna help,
and
because
to
I think
think
that's
about it-
one thing from last season.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, we talked about it numerous times, there wasn't like established roles, and part of that was injuries, but like your expectations of you as a player were changing constantly, and I think that's another reason why we struggled so much offensively.
I think part of that was also just when given a role, players weren't able to do it. We talked about this during the season, but there was that press conference, I think either late December, early January, where Coach L was like, "I've got my rotation solidified," and
Yeah.
AJ Casey was part of that rotation.
well, yeah, at that point, Bensley was still starting, so he's like, "We're gonna go to AJ Casey and Keyshawn George off the bench, and if there's an emergency or whatever, someone's injured, can't play, or foul trouble, Chris Watson is the 8th guy." And by the end of the year, you could not, and justifiably would not put AJ Casey or Chris Watson in a game.
I mean,
Which
at
was
one
the
point,
right,
he
which was the right
went to
decision by the end of
Joe
the year. So
went to Jakai. I mean,
yeah, but I mean that was the right decision by the end of the year. So I think that was one where he thought he saw guys progressing. He's like, "This is your defined role." He's trying to define those roles, and they weren't capable of playing. I mean, that game that Cleveland got hurt in at Notre Dame, that was a game where Chris Watson missed 2 dunks and a layup. It's just like, dude.
is that when he got blocked back to back?
Yes, and then he also had an uncontested one he missed, and then that was the one where we won the game. And then they showed him walking off the court shaking his head, and I'm like, this guy's not playing here anymore. And he basically didn't. I think he got in at the end of the Georgia Tech game when we went really small and bench Norchad, and that was about it. That was the only extended minutes he got after that. I think he knew he was done, and we knew he was done at that point.
Didn't he commit somewhere?
He did to Southern Miss, right? That was
That's
Watson.
Southern Miss. Yeah.
I was drawing a blank.
Yeah, and
I think the three of us.
yeah, we're on the small train here.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. To me, it's not even Javon Small is
really
a
good.
better player,
Yeah,
more of a proven commodity.
yeah.
I mean, I would be excited if we got either one, but Javon Small changes expectations a lot. He's a really good basketball player, and you're right, he fits really well next to Nigel.
Mhm.
So, and I think you could even see a lineup, of Nigel, Small, and Jaleel Bethea, which would be super deadly. Not saying that's who would start, just saying
It gives us
at one point in the
options
game.
in terms
Yeah.
of rotations that we did not have this year.
And Gio, I heard he's still in Miami training. So he might announce from Miami that he's going to Miami.
Well, maybe he's just not going to leave Miami.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and the
Could you
idea
imagine
that
could you imagine if Jaleel Bethea was our sixth man? Because Javon Small comes. Talk about a nice, backcourt depth.
I think we'll be playing a lot of 3 guards if that is
Yeah,
the case. These are first world problems.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you think about it with Jaleel, and if he does what we all expect him to do, we have at least 5 guys in their last year of eligibility that leave after next season. Well,
yeah, I mean
Jaleel's
the
one
way
everybody else are seniors.
the way basketball is now, that
Yeah,
you're liable to have that happen any year.
yeah.
Well, and I think too, the additions of
Oh, Max. Please put that up. You have to put that up. Put it on the screen. Give the folks a chance to read it.
I mean, this is inside baseball a little bit, but
Max gave a shout out to Buckets as well as Luke Cheney from 247 for being the best to cover Miami basketball hoops, and somebody got insulted.
And that somebody was Michelle Kaufman.
And then she posted an article and it was behind a paywall.
Which, again, it's a professional organization. They need to make money. I don't have an issue with that. It was just, you know, to be honest, she's too.
She did
big
compliment
time.
us though, not that she.
No, but I mean, she's just like, I'm like, dude, you work for the Miami freaking Heat. Like, why are you responding to people? Like,
I will say that tweet got me into a conversation with Luke, so we're hoping to have him on the show soon.
And then we can have Gio on too.
And then we can have Gio on also, but that
separate episodes though.
That got us chatting. So if you're a Luke Cheney 247 fan, definitely keep tuning into Buckets because we're in talks about getting it. He's already agreed to be on the show. We just have to set up
figure out a date.
You know.
Yeah.
So
gotta figure that out with Gio too.
Yes. I'm gonna have to. I need to expand the board somehow because.
Well, we already know where Gio's going.
Gio is a Popeyes guy, so there's plenty of room for him.
Or he's setting this up just to like.
Can
you imagine he's setting this up?
Glue and
shows up
here
and
like
when
churches.
Gio had like a round table of YouTube, like Kane's YouTube people, like a couple of months ago, and so he at the end he had all of us like ask him a question, and so I was like, well, on Buckets we talk about this all the time. So what do you prefer? And he picked Popeyes. So. You know,
he's a man who likes seasoned chicken with flavor.
It's been a while since anyone's picked Popeyes, if you hadn't noticed. So, but yeah, the next Chick-fil-A person, that's gonna be like the last space, and then I'm gonna have to. I don't know if I should just like put a piece of paper and hang it down and keep it going, or what. We'll have to figure.
That would actually be funny if you did that.
I may just get a separate board for it. That way, I can expand my other stuff on here, and then just have another board to put up. Take this down and I'll just put the board there or something.
No, you will.
You're not a loner. Matt Vish and Coach DJ Irving agree with you. You can't.
Yes, and when you come on the show, it'll be 3-on-1. So
there we go.
That's why Matt and I always have the brotherhood of Popeye, so we're never outnumbered. Actually, the best we do is even when the show's running. Got kind of a similar question. Where do you guys see Bethea falling into this hypothetically with Small's decision, and then Sox coverage kind of asking, kind of giving his opinion on this, which is start on the bench and work his way kind of in.
Coach L is not known for starting true freshmen. I'll just put that.
I think no matter if Javon Small comes here, he's starting 100%. It doesn't matter. Like day one. I mean, If it's Jalen Blackman that comes here, then I think it's
a battle.
Yeah, it's a toss up, in my opinion.
You got some Popeyes love in the chat here.
Also, we didn't think of a Mount Rushmore, so if you guys have anything that you want us in the chat that you want us to do a Mount Rushmore of, put in some suggestions. Because this was kind of like a Cleveland announced he was back, and then
that's not the only thing.
Absolutely.
Well, wait, did I suggest it? Did I suggest it after the women's commit or before? I don't remember.
No, before, but then it piled on it.
So Matthew Cleveland said he was coming back, and we were all so excited. So seriously, we were actually all so excited. I think that came off like it was sarcastic. I wasn't. We're all really happy he's coming back. So I was like, we need to do a Buckets at midnight. Like this is important. And then the women's had a commit, so now there's plenty of things to talk about. But yeah,
I do think Javon Small. There's a lot of similarities to like Isaiah Wong's game of like being a 3-level scorer, and you saw how much Pack and Wong fed off of each other. I think it'll be like a similar relationship, and it's gonna be fun to watch if it happens.
And remember, Pack was the MVP of the region in our Final Four run with Wong as Wong as the 2. So you put a guy next to Pack who has some similarities as far as like creating his own offense and things like that, then Pack gets back to being Pack. And also like we were so bad last year in general. A healthy Nigel is going to be great, but like let's just forget that this season happened.
Well, no, but I think look, if you don't, and obviously as fans, it doesn't really matter if we care or not, although we sort of cover the team, but whatever. But for coaches, they need to understand what happened.
As fans, let's forget what happened.
Well, what then? What are we gonna do for the next 6 months? So
A lot of NBA.
Well, what I would say though is, and we talked about this when he committed. Lynn Kidd was not a big minutes guy at Virginia Tech. He was splitting. He was in a rotation with Petit, who's bulkier, and so they would rotate him in and out. So I do think, looking at our lack of big man depth, the fact that Matthew Cleveland can obviously play the 4 at times, I would not be at all surprised if we see a lot of 3-guard lineup if Small is here, and Pack, Bethea, and Smaller on the court together, and we're playing Smaller. Just because, again, Lynn Kidd averaged 20-something minutes a game last year, and it'll be a pretty big step up to expect them to go like 35, which means we're going to need to get creative with the lineups to give him rest. But
then you go with the hope that L's still looking for another 4 or 5 guy in the portal. I think we've all said we hope that we get another bigger man in the portal.
But that's almost just for
depth.
Unless you want to see Joe Bay play 30 minutes a game, which no one wants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So. We've said it before. We're hoping for another 4 or 5, and then we're hoping for another guard.
Yeah, I still think no matter what, like we
reasonable.
mentioned it earlier, like Matthew Cleveland is going to play the 4 in moments.
Yeah, I think
we're going to see it, and I think it's going to look different with like Brandon Johnson at the 5. He's more of a guy that plays on the perimeter. He can post up too, but I think that's going to benefit Matthew Cleveland also. But yeah, and just playing with, guards that can kind of create offense for themselves and, create for others as well is going to help his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And while we definitely need another big for depth, I do, if you're Coach L and this roster's been assembled and you're, figuring out which players you want on the court, if again, this is, speculating that, that Javon Small is here, you're much more likely to say, let me play Cleveland at the 4 and to have those 3 guys out there than go to the unnamed big we're able to get at this stage to come in and play them significant minutes. So that's why I think we're going to see a lot of, regardless of who technically starts, a lot of those 3 on the court together.
Gio, we gotta get him to stop wearing the Hardens. That's the problem. Get him wearing the AEs or something else.
I think not enough people are talking about Austin Swartz, obviously, because we have such a big time commit in Jaleel. I could see Swartz being part of the rotation. We'll see how quickly he can adapt to the college game. I definitely think he could be part of the rotation off the bench.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be in the rotation. But, like, I know that there's people that are saying, like, we don't really need to get another guard. We have Austin Swartz, like, coming off the bench. Like, no, we still need to get another guard.
No,
we can't rely that heavily on 2 true freshmen.
Yeah.
No, and, well, I mean, you can if they were both Jaleel Bethea, but they're not. And so, I mean, look, when you get a player of that level, not only do you rely on it, you need it and you expect it. But Austin Swartz is, even though he's very talented and is a highly coveted recruit, there's
a top 40 player.
Yeah, but this is.
I think he fell just outside the top 40 in the end of
I think he was 41.
41, something like that.
Right.
I think he was.
40 sounds better. So we'll
just. But this is I keep saying we've talked about this because we've talked about a lot of this stuff. But basketball is a sport where top 10 versus like top 20 versus top 30 is a huge difference because the drop off is massive. Like you're talking about program changing, one and done types, and then dropping into this guy needs to develop and so on. And that's not a knock on Austin Swartz. Like Isaiah Wong developed into one of the best players in school history. Was not ready day one. Lonnie Walker was, right? But you would say Isaiah Wong's a better college player and a better Hurricane because he stayed that long. But and that's where you get those, when you get those top 10, top 5 recruits, those guys are, I mean, they're ready to be in the NBA already. Like
Yeah,
if there was,
I would
if
not
there was
be
no one and
shocked.
done rule, a lot of them would go in the draft and get drafted in the lottery, especially this
Yeah,
year.
and I wouldn't be surprised too, like when he gets his opportunity, if he gets extended minutes at any point, if he does have a game where he goes off or whatever, because he has that potential, he has that talent, as a freshman. But I think building that consistent role, like that's, something, for next year. I think he'll be a part of the rotation, but
He
definitely
could
it's
Austin
a
could be that
development.
Austin could be that guy, not to compare him to Isaiah Wong, but I could see him being that guy that develops over the years and like by his 4th year is a guy that we depend on heavily. Kind of like how
Oh,
Isaiah Wong
I think we see it next year.
Yeah.
Or
With
the year
Austin?
out. Like, I think his development's going to be,
faster.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just think
no
this
one-
year we have like a lot of dudes. Next year, I could definitely see him.
I mean, we just
How
talked
much
about
would-
losing
Like
all
Bruce
5
Brown.
of the starters, so
Like Bruce Brown. Give him that 2nd year.
yeah, and then he got injured. And anyway,
Oh, what could have been with that team?
Oh, God.
I know, stupid sister Jean. The other thing is like no one has a 4-year plan anymore. It's all just a series of 1-year plans. He might not be here next year, right? I mean, it's the reality of it.
Yeah. You just never know.
I gotta not get it. I can't get attached to players anymore because they just leave.
Pretty much.
Can we discuss the women's commit really quickly? Because I spent
Oh, yeah.
I spent like 45 minutes trying to find highlights. So I preface this with saying that it is impossible to find YouTube highlights of women's players unless you watch an entire freaking game, and it's really annoying because okay. So the women's got a commit today. Nat Marshall from Notre Dame. She's going to come here as a grad transfer, so it's her final year. She's 6'5". And with all of our bigs transferring, this is massive. She
is massive.
She is massive. She did not start last year. She averaged 20 minutes a game, so she came off the bench. But the thing to know with her is that Notre Dame had like 4 bigs. So her stats are underwhelming. But because Notre Dame had Hannah Hidalgo. So there's your scoring right there. This year, she played in 34 games, averaged 20 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds, shot 50% from the field. I tried to find some highlights. She did go from the bad guys to the good guys, but she played for Notre Dame, who won the ACC tournament last year and made the Sweet 16. So she knows how to win. From what I could find highlight-wise, she plays with a lot of energy. Like a lot of the highlights are her just like passing the ball for someone to score or making a layup, and she's like just hype all the time. I think she might have a little bit of a mid-range game. I saw a few little free throw line extended jump shots that she took. Obviously, I don't know how many times she took those shots because, again, I don't have the time to watch a million Notre Dame games. I'm sorry.
I will have something by next week.
Yeah, Matt's the guy for that. She's all over the boards. Like a lot of her highlights were her battling for boards. She runs the floor really well. And then interesting enough, I saw this interview of her, like Notre Dame did like a highlight on her. So she wears number 15. And the reason why she wears number 15 is her high school coach wore number 15 when she played for Boston College, and is apparently like a massive legend there, Claire Droche. She apparently passed away from cancer when she was a sophomore in high school. So she wears 15 in her honor, which I thought was really cool. But when she was looking to go to a school out of high school, she wanted to go to a school that had a women's coach, which was a big deal to her. So good thing Coach Cullup is a lady. But no, I saw some interviews with her, and I like her energy. She seems like really personable. Again, she's 6'5".
I would expect her, given the current makeup of the team, she's probably going to start at center. I know she's listed as a forward, and I would expect her to have a bit of an expanded role. As Melissa said, Notre Dame won the ACC tournament, one of the best teams in the country last year, really talented, a lot of options. We have a depleted roster, so I would expect her to have a pretty large
I
on this
see
team.
that as a natural progression for her. So the year before, so she averaged 20 minutes this year. The year before, she only averaged 10. So don't look at her stats as far as points and rebounds and stuff because she was
It's the
coming
same
off
as Lynn
the bench.
Kidd, right? You have to look
Yeah,
at the efficiency. You have to look
yeah,
at what she's done in that amount of time, right?
exactly. So, but she's all over the floor. Just from what I saw, like she's not afraid to run. And she seems pretty athletic as well, especially for being 6'5" and being tall. But this is a massive get, like massive. So
Yeah. No, it was. We still need more, but
we still need more people, but we got Daniela Abis from Wichita State, who's 6 feet, who could definitely play the 4. You can put Marshall at the 5. And like I said, we lost all of our front court players. So Coach Cullup is really addressing needs. I mean, we still have more stuff we need to get, but bringing back the Cavenders, getting Abis, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Abis. I really need to look up the
we
pronunciation.
can get her on the show and ask her.
And now getting Marshall, that's awesome. Where do you think Hannah fits in now? Internally, she wasn't keen about coming off the bench while Haley was starting. I see that as probably what's going to happen.
Well, I would say right now she would start because we don't.
Right now she would start, but I don't. I'm assuming we get more people. But we'll see. Because right now it would be Haley, Hannah, Jasmine, Abis, Marshall. Right?
Yeah, and that's just, again, we're kind of assuming Lamaya's not going to be 100%
not
by
going
the
to be
start of the
ready
season.
coming off an ACL. And then you have our 3 freshmen. The coach spoke really highly of them. I could see.
Former coach.
Obviously, former coach. Right? Leah Harmon is a top 30 player coming in, so she's definitely going to compete. Anae Adams is really, really good. She's just outside the top 40. And then Simone as well, who I think is more going to develop over the next year. But they're all guards. So these front court gets really important.
Yeah, we probably are still, looking for a starting guard to play next to Haley to answer Gio's question. So
Also,
my guess is Hannah is coming off the bench unless we strike out.
Also, I wonder what number Marshall's going to wear because 15 is taken.
Well, is it?
Well, Haley and Hannah wore 14 and 15.
They took a year off. Maybe they want to
in
switch
the
numbers.
pictures, they were wearing those jerseys. So
I mean, were they even new pictures?
Yeah, because they filmed a video of saying they're back.
Filmed a video saying they were back.
Well, I'm not sure those jersey numbers are necessarily locked in, but we'll see about that.
I guess we'll see.
But no, I think the plans for her to come off the bench. I don't think there'll be the same issues as if she. I mean, I didn't hear anything, but obviously Gio's got sources saying knows internally. I will say we basically had 2 players for that role. We've talked about this as well because Carla Uryevich was also essentially the guard off the bench. And so neither of them really actually even got the full bench role. They split that role up, so that wasn't great for either of them. The other thing I will say is, look, I think a lot of people just look at the internet celebrity and don't understand how serious basketball players they are and how talented they are. With that said, they're both short. You cannot run that backward. You can't have both of them.
That's the conversation we had about Nigel and Bensley before last season.
You do need more size with the 2 guard.
Kane's Cat wants to know if any of these ladies are as good as the people we lost.
So that's a little bit of.
That's a loaded question.
Well, in a way, right? Because so I would say, in terms of the bigs, Z and Kyla were McDonald's All-Americans that struggled to get anywhere close to that potential. Way too inconsistent. There were focus issues in game. A lot of missed layups and free throws that you can't really have. Whereas, we've upgraded with more experience. So maybe not as much like raw talent, but I would say people that have at the college level played better basketball.
They
For a
make
lot
you a
of these
better
positions.
team.
Yeah. Well, the one exception to that is Cheyenne Day Wilson.
Yeah, that's
That's
hard to
just a big
replace.
loss. That's just a big loss. Like
That
that
is-
Can I
one.
ask you guys something though? Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Yeah, go for it.
No, I thought you wanted to finish your thought. I was gonna say, like, where do you guys think we need to add? Like, what position? What's the position of need that needs to be filled right now?
still think you need another big.
Okay.
And I mean, it's almost kind of similar to the men's, like another experienced guard and another big.
I think you need. I think you need a backup big probably after today's.
Yeah,
New,
you need a backup
and
big.
you probably need a starting two guard.
Yep.
Depending on Lamaya's health.
hmm
Yeah.
If she, but I don't think anyone expects you. I mean, when was that? I was at that game. It was in, I want to say January. She tore her ACL. I think the idea that she's going to be a full go in, late October is very optimistic.
And I keep saying I love her game. I'll say it over and over again. I love Lamaya's game.
But the reason I bring that up is she's certainly a starting. She was mostly off the bench last year. She started a little bit, but she's certainly a starting caliber player. And so if she's healthy, you could play her at the 3 and slide Jazz to the 2.
Lamaya,
they don't necessarily need a starting 2 guard.
Lamaya is an all-around player. She didn't get a lot of play her freshman year at Arizona. You saw flashes under Coach Meyer's system before she tore her ACL, but they described her as the best defender on the team preseason. She can shoot the 3. She's not afraid to drive. Actually, that's how she tore her ACL, unfortunately. And she can make those shots. She's made some ridiculous layups. She has an all-around game. So when she's healthy, she could easily be the starting 2.
Easily. I would say also three of the 4 starters are kind of locked in.
Jasmine is obvious. That's your captain.
Haley is obviously starting at point guard.
Mm-hmm. And then you got Marshall and Abis.
Yeah. So I would.
The 2 guards you're looking at.
Yeah, and again, you said very similar to the men. We have a really strong recruiting class coming in as well. Top 15.
Yeah.
And no defections so far. Even though coach left, or retired.
No bigs in those classes.
Right. So again, I think. Well, again, we don't know how Almon is going to do if she can be a.
Oh, that's true. Man, I keep forgetting about her because she didn't play last year. Almon is 6'4". Almon was a freshman this past season, but she was out. She redshirted because of a shoulder injury. She's 6'4", but we, like Vish said, we don't know how she's going to play because she's been out for a whole year. But she is technically another big.
Yeah, I mean, we do technically have 10 scholarship players if the 3 freshmen show up. So there's not that much room on the women's team.
Yeah. But 4 of those players haven't played.
It's 3 freshmen. Yeah, and it's 3 freshmen
and Almon who redshirted.
Yeah, and then Lamaya coming off a major injury and probably won't be ready for the start of the season. So then all of a sudden,
and then Haley and Hannah that took a year off. So there's a lot of we have all this but situation.
I do think overall question here. I think on paper, individual talent-wise, we're down over what we were last year in terms of cohesiveness and players that actually have proven they can play. I would say high basketball IQ at the collegiate level. We've upgraded pretty heavily, including getting the Cavenders back. So it was potentially a better team. Once we finish constructing the roster, because I would certainly. I mean, we lost games last year because of really poor play around the rim, where our bigs, who again were highly coveted out of not only. I mean, look, Z ended up at Tennessee. That's a major program. It's not that they're not talented, but. Missing critical layups, the free throws speak for themselves. Those types of those lose you games. I mean, our last home game. I was at this game. Our last home game of the season was when we were up late, and I think went like on a 4 or 5 minute drought against Georgia Tech. It went to overtime because of that, and then we lost in overtime. And I'm half of a mind that it didn't matter what we did; they weren't going to lose in the tournament anyway. But because it was not basketball, it was not a basketball related decision not to let us in. But on the other hand, like we gave them an excuse by losing games like that, and it wasn't the only time.
And also, as we pointed out, Kyla hasn't committed anywhere yet, so maybe there's a small chance she decides to stay.
Yeah,
So-
if she boomerangs back, then that does some interesting things in the lineup at that point, because then you end up, I mean, I don't know. it's gonna get your front court pretty crowded at that point.
Which is not a bad problem to have.
I mean, is it or is it not though? Because it was we had 3 talented bigs last year and it did not work. And I don't think any of the 3 of them were really happy with splitting those minutes up. Sometimes it helps to just have the established, like, that's the guy, right? And
But
we
you
never
gotta
had
have
that.
but you gotta have a little bit of depth. Like you can't just go into the season with Abis and Marshall and hope
And
Almon
Almon.
turns out. I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that Coach Club is scouting the current roster and kind of knows what she has here.
Yeah.
That's why they get paid, right? I mean, if you can't never rely on players that haven't played before, right? So hopefully she's familiar with her and is like, okay, this person can contribute. Or if the answer is I don't think she can, then she's more aggressive trying to get more bigs in here. She's obviously not done adding to the roster yet. So there's still a lot to happen there. And again, because Coach Meyer retired, there are no like restrictions on the players. So like when the portal window closes, they still have flexibility there that they wouldn't otherwise have. So there's a lot.
There's
stuff that
a
can still happen.
flexibility. Is it 30 days if a coach leaves to enter the portal? It's not just like open season. You can leave whenever you want. I think there's a time limit on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there's definitely more flexibility there for them. So still more could change there as well.
No, there's only 3 players left from last year, so if you include Almon.
Yeah, but then it's like bizarre because we have 2 players back from 2 years ago. So
But they don't count like being able to go back into the portal once the portal closes. Like they committed like to the team when the new coach. So
I'm not sure what honestly at this point, because there's now no restrictions on like the number of times you can.
yeah, but when does the portal close and reopen again? I mean, if the portal were to close and the Cavaliers decided they wanted to transfer, they wouldn't be eligible for next season. If
I mean, the
transfer.
Cavaliers aren't going anywhere.
I know
so-
they're not, but I'm just saying like that's the whole coach leaving and the portal being open longer for a player. I mean, I don't know if someone wants to find out for us in the chat, but it's not like they have the whole summer to make that decision. I don't think. I'm not sure. So we'll see. Hopefully Jasmine and Lamaya are sticking around. So
Yeah, I would be surprised. I mean, I think Jasmine's definitely sticking
I
around.
think
I'd be
Jasmine's
surprised.
sticking around. Yeah.
Surprised if Lamaya.
She popped into our live chat like last week.
Yeah.
So
No, I'd be really surprised if Jasmine is not here. And
We should have just asked her when she was there.
what in
We
the
just
live
measured-
chat?
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Let's put you on the spot on the internet. Please confirm.
But yeah, so I think that roster's coming together. It's probably a little bit closer than the men's is right now, just because like they've filled most of the scholarships at this point. So, but we'll see. We'll see how they finish it off. I do think, Hannah having a more expanded role off the bench will be a good thing.
Yep.
And she can come in for her sister as well. So. Because well, I mean, again, 2 years ago, it's a very different team than the one that they're coming into now. So
Yeah. We didn't think of a Mount Rushmore. It has to be a
Trying to
Mount
do
Rushmore today because today's a win. I mean, 2 recruits.
Well, come
No,
up
a
with something.
recruit and somebody staying. So
In
Come up with
honor of Matthew Cleveland, a Mount Rushmore of people named Matthew.
oh geez.
All right, I'm going
I might have
first.
needed time to prepare for that one.
Well, hold on. I'll go with the first one. Bridges.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mess with me.
No, you're a guy. You're definitely
Wait,
number one, no doubt.
Can we actually do something else?
I
though?
don't think we're not doing this. It was a joke.
What? I already started researching. I'm on 100 Matthews.
No.
I already got
That's-
3.
We're not doing them. I thought you were gonna say people from Cleveland and Cleveland related stuff, giving you Cleveland slander in the past, but what the first name, huh?
What about favorite basketball players to wear 0?
How many players can you even think of?
Gilbert Arenas.
Shane
Did
Larkin.
Nick Young wear 0? Oh, Shane Larkin too. Yeah, I was thinking NBA only.
Jimmy Graham wore 00. No, I'm trying to. Didn't we have? Wait,
Quan
didn't
Newton.
we? So we did favorite players that were retired. Did we ever do favorite players that are currently in the? Oh no, we did players we hate that are retired. Did we ever do players we hate that are currently in the NBA? Or was it just an in general? I can't remember.
I don't
More
remember.
in general, but I feel
but
wasn't
we're
the
doing a
players that
Rushmore,
hated
though.
Trashmore?
Yeah. Guys in the chat, help us out. We need a Mount Rushmore.
We already did transfer players, right?
Yeah.
Matthew's sort of that. Wow, dead air, huh? Good show, guys.
What about favorite Canes players that actually got their degree?
I don't know who graduated.
That graduated.
I'm gonna have to research that.
What the hell? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, send me your transcripts, man. I need to verify something.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something.
I know, but how do we know who graduated? Like, shit, man. Some of them graduate like 3 years. Some of them stay here 5 years and don't graduate. Like, you don't know.
This is what happens when we don't prepare for the show because it was last minute.
Sixth ring is the ones that's supposed to have no show prep, not buckets.
Mount Rushmore of things you eat at the movie theater.
No.
Okay.
Wow, just so dismissive. Not even a consideration.
No, that's not gonna work. I don't know, man.
We've done a lot.
This is really deteriorated now.
I mean, we talked basketball for a good hour, like over an hour. We stayed on topic very well tonight, guys.
Yeah, we did, and now it's coming apart at the end.
Mount Rushmore of like sport team logos, like the coolest sport team, like logos.
We did
Is that
worst
research
mascots.
too?
We did worst mascots. Should we do the best mascots? That takes a little bit more research, though.
Both these take some research, right?
It should be okay. We got to do something like
We gotta do
food
one that we can
related.
just do off the hip. Like, I'm trying to think of like food items that we could do because we've done fries. Wow, Terrence mixed Popeyes and Chick-fil-A together.
Wow.
Good God,
I don't know. The guy that's sounds like.
I mean, I
conspiring
did. There's videos on the internet. I don't know where we didn't put that on YouTube, right? It was just under Twitter of me. I mean, doing something, not mixing Popeyes and Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
but
the Chick-fil-A challenge where you put all of the sauces and fries and mac and cheese on the chicken sandwich and eat it.
Yes, and ate it. Yes, that is floating
Mitch
around
did
the
eat
internet.
the whole thing.
I did eat the whole thing. By the way, it's got to be. You cannot reverse this because the soupy ass Popeyes macaroni and cheese will not work.
Guys, we need a Mount Rushmore.
Well,
What happened to the chat? Everyone's stopped talking.
Someone should have thought of that.
Binge-worthy TV shows.
Favorite TV shows of all
I
time?
I
Top
guess
4
TV
TV
shows.
shows?
Oh man,
Alright,
that's
well, you-
that's. Uh,
There's a lot to choose from, but I think that's what we got to go with.
cartoons. I don't know.
No, just
Thinking of
TV
random
shows.
things.
Two TV,
TV shows.
Unless
TV
this is too
shows.
broad. Is that why you're worried about it, Ben?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Non-cartoon TV shows. We can save
Okay,
cartoons
then we're
for
gonna do
another
cartoons
show.
later.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God! All of my two of mine were gonna be cartoons.
Oh, there. That
Um,
narrows it if you're worried it was too broad.
Who wants to go first?
Why don't you go first, Melissa, since Matt needs a little thinking time here.
All right. Well,
No,
my
I'm
favorite
trying to
TV
think.
show that I grew up with was ER, hence my profession.
There you
That
go.
is actually why she's a nurse practitioner.
That's awesome. Do you want me to go next, Vish, or do you want to go?
Yeah, go
Yeah, I was
for
gonna
it.
say, Terrence, Mount Rushmore of movies definitely
Um,
requires some thought. So
Yeah, we did do sports movies already,
did.
so and even that was hard. All movies. Whew.
I'll go with The Office, I guess, as one of mine. I know
You
I'll
sure?
put that up. Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Okay.
The Office as one of them.
What's with all the hesitation and the waffling here?
I'm just trying to think of.
No, but I mean, like, is it that you're afraid you're gonna leave something off and be like, crap?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. But The Office, I always rewatch it, so I'm.
Yeah, we
You
can,
can-
we
Matt-
can revisit
Matt
this topic
reserves
on a
the
later
right-
show.
Matt reserves the right to make changes.
We can revisit this on a later show too. It's not.
Okay.
This is
Vish,
not,
what's your first?
This is not serious stuff. Should I go drama or comedy? I'll go with Seinfeld to start with. I still rewatch that too. Still holds up, sort of.
I feel like my second choice might be a little bit controversial.
Oh. I just thought of one. Okay,
So
sorry.
I mean, I had to pick ER first because I grew up with that show and it literally inspired me to do what I do. But my second favorite show is Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Game of Thrones is a great show.
When you're
Just the
saying
last season.
controversial, I thought you were gonna say the Cosby Show. or
No,
something.
that's
So,
Game of Thrones is not
So
controversial at all. It's a great show.
background story for Game of Thrones. I never watched it new. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a nurse practitioner. I work in a hospital in Miami. So I've been in healthcare almost 16 years. So I worked through the pandemic. I cover the ER. So right on the front lines. So I had planned a vacation in April for my birthday. Obviously that didn't happen in 2020. But because like the peak of COVID in Miami didn't really happen until like May, June, the hospital was like dead in March and April. Like we had like no patients. And so my boss was like, oh, just you can take your vacation anyway, because like there's nothing doing here, whatever. And I was like, well, this is gonna be a waste of vacation days because I'm just gonna sit at home and do nothing. So I had 10 days off. So like the second day having off where you're in the middle of a pandemic and can't go anywhere and you live by yourself. And you work in healthcare, so nobody wants to be near you. I was like, I need to find something to binge because there was no sports on. Like I was watching like Japanese cornhole in the middle of the night. So I was like, this might be the time to watch Game of Thrones because everybody and their mom talked about it in the group that I work for. I was like outcasted because I didn't watch it. So in a little under 6 days, I binge watched the entire series.
There you go.
So
Okay, I was all follow along to the last bit. You watched that whole series in 6 days.
You have to remember there was nothing to do. No, I didn't leave my apartment. There was nowhere to go. I wasn't going to work, and because I was working the front lines I didn't know because we were like a month into the pandemic. I didn't know if the PPE was working. I wasn't gonna go see my mom, so I just stayed home and DoorDashed food. Actually, that's how I got into eating Chick-fil-A again. I hadn't had Chick-fil-A for a long time, and they opened up the curbside. So that's when I rediscovered my love for Chick-fil-A. But yeah, I had nothing better to do. So I DoorDashed food. I woke up, changed pajamas, watched Game of Thrones, took a shower at night, put new pajamas back, went to sleep, and repeated it for 6 days.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was my 2020 in a nutshell. Work and a lot
I totally
of TV.
forgot. Like sports stopped, everything stopped. And, like,
There was no sports. I actually rewatched the entire 2001 Miami football season on YouTube. Also,
How lockdown was California? Because DC, like, you basically couldn't even go outside at the beginning. There, it was just like
I just remember when I was at my last job, we had a meeting, like when it got really bad, we had a meeting where like, okay, everyone's working from home now. Like you're not coming in the office at all. Figure out like what you need to work from home. And then yeah, it was, I mean, I didn't
Florida
do
was a
like,
little different. Florida's
Yeah,
a little
we
different.
had such bad travel restrictions for like 6 months or so that like I'm not
I
gonna
had
say
to get
from
Yeah, I had to get a letter from my job to keep in my
no,
car
that's what I was about
in
to say. I had
case
a
I got
letter
pulled over in
from
the middle of the night. Since I leave work at 3 a.m. and there was a curfew, I literally had to keep a letter in my car.
oh, we didn't have a curfew. We just weren't allowed out, period. I had a letter in my car though that allowed me. I'm not gonna explain where that came from, but that allowed me out. Otherwise, you had to be doing only like critical needs, so you had to like prove that you were going to the grocery store.
yeah.
They were very restrictive. So yeah, I totally forgot there was no sports. Um, I was
Yeah.
doing like random shows with Blue and Donna where we talk about old football games. There's like no sports to talk about.
I wasn't aware of
man.
Kane's. I wasn't aware of Kane's YouTube at that time. I
That,
didn't realize. I didn't
I
realize
think
he
this
was
was a
so much
previous.
into
This is a previous iteration of actually.
Yeah.
This is when it was five rings. Canes that Blue and Donna would do an audio show that I went on a few times there because everything was dead.
But yeah, that's how I watched Game of Thrones. Was thanks.
We did this huge because of this time of year. We did this huge draft show on the network because it was the only sports. It was the one where everyone was drafting from home, like Goodell in his living room and all that. And so we just went wall to wall like YouTube show for like 3 nights and just like us on the stream the whole time.
Actually, honestly, it was good that I wasn't like on a YouTube show in 2020 because my face was like bruised from the N95s and N99s that I had to wear. So I had a lot of fun during the pandemic. Actually, I was going almost every night. So yeah, so my first two was ER and Game of Thrones. Matt, what's your next one after The Office?
My next one.
Shout out to Terrence for throwing his Mount Rushmore movies in there. He picked his own topic and went for it.
There you go, Terrence.
We got to note that for when we revisit that topic.
He took some initiative. I'm gonna go with
Rocky Four is a hell of an eclectic mix.
I'm gonna go with one. I'm gonna go with Band of Brothers. That was so good. It was so good. I rewatch it. Not as much as The Office, because I mean you have to sit there and like, you know, obviously rewatch every single episode. But I mean, just the characters and everything, like, I mean, it was just so well done.
Man, I already have a list of cartoons in my head for.
I do too. I already have my cartoon one because I looked at an IMDb of top shows and I was like, oh yeah, these are all my top.
I think that topic will likely make me feel the oldest on this show that I.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because like Melissa and I aren't that far apart in age, but like literally every 2 or 3 years the cartoons roll over, and there's like I guarantee I was watching stuff that's just like, what the hell is that? So,
I don't know. I grew up in the Nickelodeon era, so
yeah, so did I. But I guarantee there's different just because you only watch it for a limited window too. Like you're not watching cartoons all the way through your adult life. Well, not obviously there's cartoons made for adults, but like for So like I feel like that's the one that's definitely gonna age me the worst.
Like my cartoon list is gonna be all the cartoons from my childhood and stuff that I probably wouldn't even, some of it I probably wouldn't even watch now, but I remember just fond memories of so much of it as a kid.
Well, for sure, and that's why I'm gonna feel old as shit when we do that one because like it is going to age me even worse than normal.
There you go.
What's your second after Seinfeld?
All right, since we kind of everyone shifted to drama here, I will as well. The Americans.
Oh, that's a good one.
Has everyone seen? Like, I can tell you what it is if you haven't seen.
Yeah, it's on FX, right? It was on FX. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these movies? We're doing TV shows.
I think these are movies.
Yeah, we're
I
doing
think
TV shows.
everyone
Save
has
the
floated
movies
off.
for when we do movies.
Yeah,
Also,
and we'd
do
probably
we
do
need to add the
documentaries
caveat
too.
for favorite movies to not do sports movies since we already covered that? Or
Yeah, I think so. And also like the U
favorite
part one,
non-sports movies?
we'd
Yeah,
probably do a separate topic as documentaries. The U
documentaries.
would go in there.
Yeah. My third one. So I have ER.
Oh,
Game of
by the way,
Thrones.
Americans, best last episode to a show I've ever seen. Very not Game of Thrones.
So I've got ER, Game of Thrones. My next one's gonna be. It's hard because there's so like a bunch of Netflix series that I've watched that I've enjoyed, but like some of them are like 3 or 4 seasons. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta go with this one because I like literally watched this show from like beginning to end. Criminal Minds.
Oh,
That's one I'm aware of,
a
but
good
never
one.
seen. Never seen it.
It's good. I need to. For some reason, they didn't have some of the seasons on Netflix, so I stopped watching it, and I need to pick it back up again.
It's on. I believe it's on Hulu. I forget. I think it's on Hulu.
Gio came in with his TV show list here.
Yeah.
Invincible's good. That's like an animated. So I actually might have that on my. I mean,
you
if
gonna
it's
do that one as
considered
your third?
cartoon.
You got is that a cartoon?
Well, because it's animated. I don't know if
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
you got The Office and Band of Brothers. What's next?
Yeah, so Office, Band of Brothers. I'm kind of covering a lot of areas here. Oh my god, I totally had one of my. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with one. Do I want to go with that one? I'm gonna go with Friday Night Lights. I really like that show. I really like the later seasons too with Michael B. Jordan in it. That was when he was young. And who's the actor that plays the head coach? I can't remember his name off the top
Google.
of my head.
We're in the land of Google.
Oh my god.
Gio's throwing out a bunch of options here. American Horror Story, Trailer Park Boys.
Work. Literally, the head coach did not pull. Oh, that's the movie. That's why.
Man,
That's
I'm
Billy
having
Bob
trouble
Thornton
in my
movie.
head narrowing down like what I want my fourth one to be.
Yeah, I'm even having that this too.
Oh,
but
Kyle Chandler. That's who it is.
I'm having
Yeah,
trouble narrowing it down at this stage. It'd be like what I returned to the most, or what was actually the best. It's not necessarily the
And
same
also,
thing.
can we pick a show that's still currently running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm up. So
Yeah, you have Seinfeld and The Americans.
all right, I'll go with The Sopranos.
Oh.
That's a good one.
That's still one I'll pull up to just watch a random episode of, even though.
Man, I have a few that I'm between for this fourth one. Because there's like one show I watch all the time. I don't know if it's like one of my top 4 favorites, but it's just like
I'm in the same boat. There's one I put on to fall asleep to.
And then there's just some OG shows that I love. There's some OG shows that I love also. So it's hard.
Man, we're on the same wavelength. Something like, should I pull this crap from my childhood that I would never watch now, but was important back then? I'm gonna have some honorable mentions here.
Yeah. Because like ER and Criminal Minds are like my classics. Especially ER, because I like started watching that when I was like 9.
Never heard of The Neighborhood.
Yo, I should go way back and like pick like a Nickelodeon show like Salute Your Shorts, but I'm not going to.
Man, your shorts. No, things have gotten more complicated.
That was my favorite show growing up for sure. Like when I was like a smaller kid. Dang, this is hard.
I have like 3 honorable mentions I'm gonna have to run through.
Yeah, I'm between like 3 or 4 shows. You know what? I gotta go with the one that I literally just watch all the time. Like it's great in reruns and it's also still running new. It's actually another show that I binge watched during COVID, that I got into it during COVID because they always have reruns on TV. And then I went back because it's on all the episodes are on Hulu, so I started watching it from the beginning, and it's still running. And that's Law and Order SVU.
Ooh, there you go. That's like on my
It's,
honorable.
it's in like its
that
25th season. I mean,
that and NCIS. Like I used to binge, like just watch. whenever it
NCIS
was
isn't
on
as good
TV.
because like all of the original characters are gone. And
I know. I'm talking
actually-
about like the original. Like
yeah,
when it
but
was.
actually, I liked NCIS LA better, and then they canceled it.
Mm.
Freaking out.
Was that the one with what's his name?
LL Cool J?
Yeah, LL Cool J was in
Yeah,
it.
but they canceled it a
Yeah.
couple years ago, and I was really pissed because that was actually my favorite NCIS. I watch NCIS LA a lot, but I used to anyway. But like, it doesn't stream anywhere, so I don't have Paramount Plus. I think it's on Paramount Plus. As like I own enough streaming services, I'm not paying another one. So my 4 are ER, Game of Thrones, Criminal Minds, and SVU.
As a Star Wars fan, like I feel like I have to put like
I was gonna say Mandalorian.
Mandalorian on, but like
That's
there's also
definitely-
another. There's a show that's like super under the radar, and I just want to give it props because I don't feel like people talk about it at all, and I don't know if I want to go with that one. Oh, this is tough.
I almost said
Mm.
Mandalorian was one of the few I was debating between.
And then also too, like I really there's like some Marvel shows I like. I really
24
like
was-
Daredevil.
the first season was really good.
Well, also like I really enjoyed Ahsoka, but there's only one season, so I was like, I can't really say that. It's like there's one season of it, so I was like, no. But
I'm definitely gonna have an animated one that's like Star Wars, like 100%.
I did almost say Mandalorian.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna say The Newsroom with Jeff Daniels. This is such a good
that
show.
was such a good show.
I know, and I feel like it like did not get as much, credit for what it was, and it didn't get that much attention. But Jeff Daniels, he was so good in it.
Yeah, one of the things that happened to a lot of those shows is when politics changed into what it is now, because it wasn't like that even 10 years ago. All of these like thinking shows around politics, like, nope, doesn't matter. It's all
Terrence is-
bloviating crap.
Terrence has
Crap.
got a good Mount Trashmore. Most frustrating losses for the basketball teams.
Some football
Ooh.
from 2014. Same question for men's. So we will definitely do that as a Mount Trashmore down the road for the.
I don't know if we'll do football. I don't know.
We're not gonna do football on this show.
Yeah,
And we don't do this segment on Sixth Ring, so that one might.
And
not
also,
happen. Definitely the
I
men's
mean,
and women's.
I don't know how much Matt follows the women's to do that as well. But definitely we could do it for the
I
men's.
mean, I already know what my number one on the Mount Trashmore for women's is. 100%, no doubt which one that
I'm
is.
trying to think of what it would be.
Still baggage. So it's my turn, right?
Yeah. So Matt's 4 are The Office, Band of Brothers, Friday Night Lights, and The Newsroom.
I did not see the newsroom coming in.
Vish has
you
got.
didn't think I was
Seinfeld-
gonna? Wow.
Seinfeld.
No, I
The
just
American-
felt it was like older than like when you would have been into. To
Oh, I
watching that kind of
totally.
show.
I mean, I totally rewatched it later. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. No,
'Cause I
that
think it was,
one
like-
I watched like through 4 or 5 years ago.
because that's
Probably.
about 10-ish, maybe older than that.
Yeah.
And so and that's why it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. And all right, so God, there's so many choices. All
Yeah,
right,
we're
let's
not
go with the
gonna
one I
do
watched.
though. So, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
plenty of football. I mean, me and Vish watched the Georgia Tech game live, so like together we were there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could put Manny against Georgia Tech as well. That game where he kept missing
MTSU.
20-yard field goals, had an extra
MTSU.
point blocked, and then lost in overtime. Anyway, back to more pleasant things. All right, so I'm gonna go with the one that I probably throw on the most because it's the one I go to sleep to. Not because it's bad. It's just like one where I know it so well, like I won't actually watch it, which would keep me awake, which is Arrested Development.
Oh yeah.
which is hilarious. It's on Netflix, so I throw that on to help me sleep. But I have like a ton of honorable mentions here.
Dexter was on my honorable mentions too.
Dexter's a good one. That
I had
one did not make it.
Mandalorian on mine, and also Friends, because Friends was a show I grew up watching that me, my mom, and my brother always would watch together. So that was cool.
Or did you guys ever watch Firefly? There was only like 1 or 2
Yes!
seasons. That was
No, it's
such
not
a
one-
good show.
That was so
No.
good. It was one
Is it
season,
one
and they made a
season,
movie.
or is it
It's
two?
one.
It was
one
one,
season,
but
and they made a
they-
movie. The movie
when
And
they
they made a
released
movie.
when they released it though, they like
what's
they
his- with
put all
what's
the
his name?
episodes out of order. Nathan Fillion.
Yeah,
Nathan
no,
Fillion,
well,
yeah.
yeah.
You know
but
what's
then-
funny?
And then the
one of
movie
my-
was Serenity, and it was
yeah,
terrible.
one of my friends in college who was my roommate my senior year. She's a year younger than me, but I used to go. She was a freshman when I was a sophomore. I met her because we lived on the same floor, and she was also from Coral Springs. My sophomore year, we were on the same. My junior year, we were on the same floor again, and I would go to her dorm a lot to study because it was quieter. And so this is when I was like in full blown nursing school and was studying like 5, 6, 7 million hours a day. So it'd be like, yo, let's take a break. Like she loves sci-fi. So we watched all 10 seasons of Stargate SG-1. We watched Firefly and we watched all the spin-offs of it and Farscape. I don't know if you've heard of any of those shows, but like I watched all of these random sci-fi shows and like there were like 10 seasons, 8 seasons.
I've definitely heard of some of them. The only one I ever watched was Firefly out of those.
I actually have the Firefly DVD set.
Oh damn.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Not
movie.
Another show.
But I have
The
the
movie
DVD.
is not. Well, the problem with the movie is they killed off a bunch of the main characters right at the beginning,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
what was the point of this?
Yeah, they did.
Because
But
they weren't
no,
because they
Another
weren't even
one.
absent. Like you cast them, you might as well pay them and have them in the plot. Like, why'd you kill them all?
A lot of those actors went on like they were actors that got
Yeah.
notable roles in other
No,
TV shows.
yeah,
too.
no, a lot of them
No.
did. Yeah,
yeah.
They had a great cast. But I was gonna say too, another one I thought of was Entourage. But I didn't. I was like, I'm not putting that on my Mount Rushmore. It's like it was a solid show.
that. I never really got into that one.
Hmm.
I
What was
liked,
the one I thought of?
There was a show on Netflix called The Last Kingdom. It was 5 seasons.
Oh yeah.
It was really good. They ended it perfectly.
Vikings.
They ended it perfectly, and then they made a movie and ruined it.
They
Just
made a
saying.
movie of it.
There's a movie on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but everybody
Oh,
I spoke to said that it was not good and they ruined it, so I didn't watch it.
Did
I
you
didn't
watch
want it.
Vikings?
The original or like the new one that they came out with? Because there's like a
Okay.
Vikings Valhalla on Netflix.
No. The OG, like it,
No,
it aired on the History Channel.
Because I've heard that's
It-
really good.
It was. Where did I see it? I'll look at it. I thought it was on Netflix, but maybe
I think it
not. I
might
think
be
it
on
just got at. Yeah, Uhtred
Uhtred!
Bevenberg.
I am
Uhtred.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Actually, one of the doctors I used to work with told me to watch it because her husband started watching it, and so she'd be doing like notes in bed, and so she got into watching it and made her husband start the whole series over. I will say, if you go watch Last Kingdom, it's on Netflix. Don't give up. The first season is very, very slow, but each season gets better and better. The last season
It's
of it
good.
is so good. Yeah.
You would like
yeah.
Vikings. Definitely watch Vikings.
Well, she told me to
Ragnar
watch it because
Lothbrok.
it was kind of similar to Game of Thrones. Not as many storylines, not as well shot as Game of Thrones either, but kind of like the same like battle type thing with less storylines. But it was really good, and every season gets better. The first season, I've had a few friends who've tried to watch it, and they're like, the first season's too slow, and I was like, just get through the first season because every season gets
Yeah.
better, and the 5th season is so good. Actually, that's a series I may go back and rewatch because I watched it before they came out with the 5th season, and I had to wait like a year. So I rewatched the 4th season before watching the 5th season. But like even then, I was like, no, I need to go rewatch the whole thing. But yeah, Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Yep. Last Kingdom was good. That's honorable mention for sure. I'm surprised anybody knows that show. I thought
yeah.
like I've
I
mentioned
watched
it to
that
other
show
people,
when
and they're like, "What are you talking about?" But that was a
Because
good
didn't
show.
it started on BBC, right?
I don't know. I heard about it before they released the 5th season.
And then Netflix got it like a
Yeah.
few. They started
really
making
good.
it like season 3 or 4 or something.
They ended it perfectly, but then from everyone who I've talked to who watched it and then watched the movie they released, they were like, what was the point? I haven't watched the movie yet. I really should, but they ended it so good. Like it's like everything you lost or missed with the Game of Thrones ending. Like Last Kingdom. I watched all 10. They released the 5th season. And I watched all 10 episodes in one day. Like I just binged it for the whole day.
Damn.
But also like, I mean, I don't know how you binge, but the last 2 episodes you have to watch back to back. Like, don't watch an episode and then go back 3 days later to watch the final episode of season 5. Like, you have to watch those 2. I thought they ended it so good. Like people they killed off, I liked how they killed certain people off. Like it was really good, very well done.
I also
never
liked
watched
Rome. Rome was good too.
Rome.
Rome, I feel like they canceled like mid.
Yeah, they canceled it before. They canceled that one, and then there was one that was on Netflix that it got popular, and they had already canceled it. I think it was Marco Polo or something.
Yeah, I think it was a few of those because it's so expensive to make them. They're just like, F this, just yank the plug out. Like
You know what show? You know what show I thought was gonna be really good, and then it wasn't. I watched Umbrella Academy on Netflix, and the first season was really good. I think they've released 3 seasons now.
The next
season 2 and 3 got progressively worse. I heard they're working on a 4. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. Season 1 was so good, and then it was just like I don't know. Whatever.
It was hard to
They ruined it. That's what she is.
Yeah.
They did. Season 1 was really, really good. I'm like, yo, I can't wait for season 2. And then
it was so hard to get into.
Season 2 wasn't that good, and I'm like, all right, an off season. But they released season 3, and I like forced myself. I was like, why am I watching this? Is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a ton of honorable mentions. So from the drama side, Breaking Bad.
It's a good one.
Which I didn't actually watch Better Call Saul because I'm like, I'm done with this story. I don't want to be back in that universe. So I refused, even though everyone says it's actually better. But I'm going with that. The Wire. And then some shows that probably aren't good, but that I watched when I was younger that I should probably revisit or maybe not. I don't know if anyone watched the show Wings. It was like Cheers
really
in an
old.
airport. No,
that's
what I'm saying.
That's like Nick at Night old.
Well, no, it was on NBC at the same time as like Friends and Seinfeld overlap with them actually.
Really?
Like it started. So this is the throughput, right? So it was actually a spinoff of Cheers. It and Frasier were Cheers spinoffs. It's the same universe. They didn't have any of the main characters, but in one of the episode, 2 of the Cheers people ended up at the airport. It's the same universe, same directors, and all. It's quite set in like Nantucket, just off of Boston. And then that ran into like then Seinfeld happened, and then Friends happened after Seinfeld. They all overlapped though at parts.
Oh, yeah. Geo Spartacus was really good.
Yeah, Spartacus was good, and the actor got cancer and died. And then this one is definitely an awful, awful show. But I have to throw Saved by the Bell on there. It's a terrible show, but come on, man.
I did mention Salute Your Shorts.
I mean, that is some Saturday morning stuff right there. That is what Saved by the Bell was.
I used to know the theme song by heart.
I still do, but I'm not
It's
about to sing.
all right because I'm saved by the bell.
That's just the chorus.
I know, but I knew the whole beginning. It's like
Yeah,
wake
I
up,
know.
blah 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 blah. Something I
Yeah.
don't anymore.
Yeah, and your alarm goes off, and I think I'm gonna make it on time.
Yeah.
By the time
Honestly,
I get my books and get
I just
myself to work,
I
I'm at the
remember
course just to see
watching.
the bus
I remember
fly by.
watching. I remember watching Salute Your Shorts and Hey Dude back to back on Nickelodeon. when I
Oh,
was
Hey
a kid.
Dude's another one. But I'll throw out a couple of things on Netflix where I've watched the first season. They're coming out with another one. So there's a show Cleo. It's about an East German assassin that like gets set up and then the wall
Cobra
falls.
Kai!
And so that one they're releasing. It's in German, but it's not just subtitles, dubbed. Too, if you don't want to hear the German. That one season 2 is coming out, and then The Diplomat, which has Kerry Russell in it. It's really good. They're doing the second season coming out too.
Cobra Kai is really good on Netflix, by the way.
I'd recommend those two if you want to get something new that they're doing more seasons for. So,
did you guys ever watch Merlin?
No. I did not.
No.
I'm aware of it, but I never did.
Yeah, I randomly watched it over a weekend. It was pretty good, but obviously it's an older show, so like it's the editing isn't but That one was pretty solid too.
Wow, this turned into a good Mount Rushmore after we couldn't think of one. So
Through my view history on like Netflix to see if I miss. I mean, there's other stuff here like Narcos and all that.
Well, like Stranger Things. I mean, I wouldn't put it on my Mount Rushmore, but it's a good show.
anything else before we move into our final segment of the evening, as it's almost 2 a.m. here on the East Coast?
Nah, let's do it because I'm starving.
Oh my god, Matt hasn't eaten. All right, so we
Cue
shall
it.
move.
Final thoughts today. I got to give a shout out to my guy, Nikola Jovic of the Miami Heat. I had about $100 in prize picks relying on him. Over 7.5 points. Covered it. Let's go. Shout out Nikola Jovic.
Even in the Miami Heat blowout, Matt
Oh,
still
I don't care about that. I just care about Nikola Jovic and Jaime Jaquez too. I mean, I hope you guys beat the Celtics, but I mean, it's yeah.
All right, until Wednesday night. Cue the Sox outro. Don't cry.
We get buckets.
Keep it chill.
Yeah, baby.
Wear good socks.
Buckets.